Welcome back, Sky here, and today I'm going to be showing you PlayerStatueBuilderX. So let's just get right into it. It basically creates player statues based on a Minecraft user's skin. When you first load the plugin, you'll need to type /statue, and it will basically create a statue for you of your skin. And it does this pretty quickly and efficiently. And it will basically support all your skins. So if you have an overlay, for example, as you can see, I have overlay, the left leg, the right leg, arms, and the jacket, as well, of course, as the hat. This also works with, for example, statue. It works with slim statues. So all you have to do is append the word slim to the statue. So for example, your username would go here. Just type in your username and then you would type slim, and it would basically create a statue that has 3 pixel arms. So if your skin usually has 3 pixel arms, a slim statue, then it will automatically support that. Now let's say you had a default skin that does not have an overlay. For example, if your statue is, for example, a default skin legacy format, which means that it is only 64 width by 32 height, it will automatically convert your skin to 64 by 64, so you don't need to worry about that. Previously, what would happen is that you'd have like half of a skin statue, but that doesn't happen anymore. Other things that it supports, for example, you can have different orientations. So I can do this and this and this, and it'll kind of rotate it where I'm looking. Additionally, you can have even more orientations. So statue, me, and then I can type in, like, for example, XZ, and it'll suddenly kind of flat and just YZ. Yeah, like YZ. So there are 3 different orientations, and then there are 4 different rotations. So there are possible of 12 different kind of ways your statue could be facing. So it could be kind of on its side, it could be laying down, or it could be just standing up like normal. And if you want to undo your statue because it's kind of getting messy already, just type undo statue, and then it will keep undoing these statues so that you can quickly clean up if you made a mistake. So next up we have plugin automatically chooses to the best of Minecraft's ability, the best blocks to make your statue out of. So for example, this is gray wool, and then this is gray concrete, this is light blue concrete, and it'll try to coordinate based on the colors that are on your skin, and as best as it can, to some certain extent. But you can force you can basically force the interpreter of this program to use only certain blocks. So as an example, I type in my skin and then my username, and then I want to make it, for example, only out of planks. And then, bam, my entire statue is using planks, wood only. So you won't see any concrete or terracotta, so nothing like that. So the basic usage, if I forgot to mention, so the basic usage is your statue, username, and then a bunch of tags. So you don't need to include all the tags. You only need to include the ones that you want. It looks kind of complicated, but basically these are all the possible options of things you could put after your username to customize your statue. Statue Maker supports, you can make your statue out of glass, concrete, terracotta, planks, or wool. The gray feature that's kind of in between planks and wool is for if you want just a completely grayscale statue. So if I type this in and out of glass only, right there. So it will create the statue completely out of glass, basically. So that's me, my skin, completely translated into glass only. And for example, if I wanted a statue made only out of concrete, for example, And this is 100% out of concrete. There's no terracotta in here, it's just all concrete. Some more options, concrete, you can do it only out of terracotta. This is all terracotta, it looks kind of cool. And with all these different features, you can kind of get different looks for your statue for whatever kind of statue you want. This is the gray, whoops, not undo statue, statue gray. And you should get kind of a grayish looking statue. So this is my skin converted to grayscale and then turned into Minecraft with blocks, basically. Find them, so for example, glass, concrete. As you can see right here, there's a little bit of glass right here. So this is made out of completely only glass and only concrete. So it's like a combination. And so basically you can combine these. So you can do like gray concrete and then like terracotta, and then you get a statue made out of only those 3 types of blocks. And so that basically leads to like infinitely, not infinitely, but like quite a few more possibilities to say the least. It'll say you can have iron armor, diamond armor, chainmail armor, and golden armor, as well as building different parts of the statue, such as only the left leg or only the right leg. So if you do /statue and then your name and then, for example, diamond armor, it'll automatically create a statue with diamond armor right here. And you can do the same thing for different types of armor, iron armor. And then, for example, I can make it slim. It looks a little weird because my skin is not normally a slim skin, but as you can see, it kind of converted it to 3-pixel arms and with iron armor right here. So that kind of converted, okay. And then you can see the other ones. Now what you can do is that you can mix and match these armor pieces. So you can have iron boots, golden chestplate, and then diamond helmet. Or how about chainmail helmet, because we haven't seen that yet. And then there it is. So we have iron boots, golden chestplate, and then a chainmail helmet. And of course you can combine everything together if you want. You can add slim here, you can add glass, and then, man, that looks atrocious. But as you can see, it combines everything together, and you can customize this in however many ways that you really want. Over here we have left leg, right leg, body, head, left arm, and right arm. What that does is that it builds your statue in parts. So I'll get more into that later. If you're, for example, in survival and you don't have all the blocks to make your statue, you can mark one block and then keep running the different parts. So you can do statue, left leg, statue, whoops, statue, left leg, and then it'll only generate like the left leg. Then you can come back and then you can do statue right leg, and then it'll make the right leg, and so on and so forth until the entire statue is complete. So now for configuration options and permissions, because those are pretty important. So here's the configuration file. So most of these refer to kind of survival operation of the statue. So if a player were to be in survival, then we would modify these options to figure out how, kind of constrain them as to how many statues they can make, or like how long they have to wait between each statue, etc. So let's start off with the beginning. First, I'm going to make myself, I'm going to deop myself. They were, because I'm deop, I have to wait for 1 second. So a normal survival player, if they were to run this command, it would say, to make this player statue, you need white wool, and then it'll tell you the counts of everything. So it'll have basically the exact material counts to build the statue, plus an additional charge item. In this case, it's diamond 92. And how that charge item is calculated is, first, if you go to the config file, the charge is diamond right here. I can change it to, for example, emerald or redstone or lapis. It doesn't really matter, but this is just an extra item. You can change it, player needs to have to make the statue. And how many of that item they need is based on how big the statue is, and this right here, rate. So if the rate is, for example, 8, then it will charge one of the charge items, so 1 diamond, for every 8 blocks that are in the statue. But the default is 16. The total amount of blocks here is maybe around 1,000 something. And so 1,000 something divided by 16 is equal to around 92. And that's how many of the charge item that will charge. And finally, the last part is if you have Vault or Essentials X, then it will also require you to have a certain balance within your account. So this is also calculated by how many blocks are in your statue. So if you have a smaller statue, the amount of diamonds you'll need and the amount of money you'll need will be significantly less, because my statue, it costs more. But if you had a statue that's much smaller, for example, default legacy statue, it costs like $1,000 less. But this is only a requirement if you have Vault or Essentials X installed. And it will only show up if you have Essentials X or Vault installed. And it'll tell you, like, you don't have enough money or you don't have enough materials. So let's give ourselves these materials right now. Let's open up the console. So now, as you can see, I have all the materials that I need, and it all fits in my inventory quite nicely. By default, the plugin only requires you to have the undyed versions of materials. So it won't require you to have like purple concrete or blue concrete or anything like that. But we can change that later in the configuration. So there we go. And then it will create the statue. Requiring the statue to be exact. So if I change this to true, then it will ask me for the exact blocks in the statue. So for example, it will ask me for exactly X amount of green wool, X amount of gray terracotta, brown terracotta, and this is selected as false by default, because usually you cannot hold these many blocks inside of your inventory at once. Now, I understand that some servers might want to make sure that this plugin is not used as some sort of automatic dyeing feature or anything like that to dye the blocks a different color. So you can change this to true, and there's a workaround, which is building the statue in parts. So for example, if I did statue and the hero left leg, it will only give me the materials that I require for left leg, and it'll only charge me the amount for the left leg as well. And so in this way, I can fit all the blocks inside of my inventory at once. I can run the statue command for the left leg. It'll generate the left leg. I can come back, get more materials. Right leg, run that, and then it'll build the statue gradually all the way up. You can build it in like 6 different parts, and that should be enough to ensure that all the materials fit inside of your inventory, which is quite nice. And next we have the price rate. So the price rate is the same, similar to the rate right here. It just dictates how much extra money you need to spend if if Vault or Essentials X is installed on your server. So you can change this to 0 if you don't want to have an extra price. But it's basically how much per block. So if you have, for example, 10 blocks in your statue, 10 times 2.5 is 25. So it costs you an additional $25 to build the statue. And now for permissions. So there are many different permissions here. For example, I'm going to just go down one by one. So you can use, I think, Essentials X permission system or whatever to manage these permissions. Here's SkyTechBytes.create statue, so allows the creation of statue. It's default by true. It's true by default, because everyone should be able to create a player statue. You can change it to false or whatever if you want. Next, we have PlayerStatueBuilderX.bypass. So create a statue bypassing material requirements. So for example, you won't need to have the amount of the blocks in your inventory or the money required to build a statue. So if you're an op, for example, you don't need to have the blocks in your inventory. Special orientation. So for example, if you wanted to create a statue that is lying down or on its side, those are called special orientations. And by default, it's only for ops because the orientation is a bit weird. For example, if you were to look in this direction, the statue would be like behind you or something, and that might be something you might not want. Override. So a security anti-griefing, there are anti-griefing features to this plugin to make sure that the plugin does not grief other players or the world for that matter. So for example, I'm going to, and I'm back. So first off, there's the anti-griefing feature, which is that it respects world guard boundaries. So for example, I'm right here. I created this world guard boundary around this bedrock kind of cubish thing, rectangle. So if I tried to create a statue right here, I would not be able to build it because I have insufficient build permissions. Move to a place where you're allowed to build. So if I'm like kind of up against the wall right here, it'll make sure that I do not in any way intersect this, even if I'm doing like, for example, XZ or special orientations. Like I'm trying to make sure that, well, I'm 90%, 99%, 99.99% sure that this should not grief any existing builds. So like even if I'm up against the wall right here, since the statue will be placed above my head and will be intersecting this bedrock wall, it should not build. So it says insufficient build permissions. And it kind of calculates the volume of where the statue will be placed and will check every single block to make sure that it does not grief anything. Now let's say another scenario. Let's say I had a chest right here. Let's say I put it right here. And let's say I have this amazing fort right here and I have so many precious chests right here that, and I accidentally run the command right here, like right here. And I don't want this plugin to destroy my chests or my base. So another feature of the plugin is that it will not destroy blocks that have already been placed there. It will only modify the air that is there. So let's run the statue. And as you can see right here, it does not override the chest right here. So as a safety measure, like for example, this wool is right here, it does not touch anything. It only modifies air. So you can rest assured that it won't destroy end portal frames or anything like that. For example, you can turn the override permission to true and it will automatically override all the blocks inside. So there will be no grief protection if you turn this to true or something like that. So just leave it at op and you should be fine. So no wait, it's not 5 minutes, it's now 1 minute. So 1 minute is default for no wait. So usually there's a statue cooldown. So if I were to do this again, I have to wait another 8 seconds before I make another statue. If this is true, like as it is for ops, then you don't need to wait at all to build another statue. And then undo. So this is for ops only. Well, it should be for ops only. But it allows a player to undo the last statue made by anybody on the server. Useful for example, moderation, I guess, if something goes crazy. Should not be used by, for example, normal people on your server. Only ops. So as you can see right here, I can do like /undo statue, and then bam. So the statue is undone, and all these things are back to what they were. Perfectly fine. Nothing has changed. Nothing is destroyed. Nothing is lost. It doesn't modify these blocks at all. And then finally we have custom. So another feature of this plugin that I kind of like is that you can to your plugin data folder right here, PlayerStatueBuilderX. That's the name of the, so inside of your plugins folder, there's a folder called PlayerStatueBuilderX. And that's where the config file is. And you can also drop in custom skins. So just drop in a skin. I was testing this skin because a person had trouble with it. Slimtest.2.png, and for example, if I were a regular player, I could do, for example, /statue.slimtest2, and it would make the statue from the hard disk right here. So make a statue from here with the name of that file right here. So as you can see, the name of this file is slimtest.2, and then all I have to do is type /statue and then put a dot, a period, and then slimtest2, and then it will automatically make the statue. No big deal. And you can make as many of these as you want, and they're all available offline. So if Mojang servers are having issues or the API is down, which it sometimes is, you can drag a skin into the plugin data folder and you can paste it in, and you can kind of run it with that command. So there's a configuration option a permission that is custom statues. So if you change this to false, nobody will be able to make a custom statue with the dot in front of it. It won't access the hard drive at all. Should not be any problem, because like, for example, if I were to type /statue dot whatever, and I were to do something weird and shady, it'll say like, no, you cannot have a special character inside of your skin. It only allows alphanumeric characters. And so next, let's have, so these are all the permissions. It does not require WorldGuard or Vault, but it is recommended. The plugin respects WorldGuard boundaries, respects Vault, Essentials X. So for example, it will not grief your world if you have WorldGuard installed, or it should not. And so let's go into some common scenarios for servers, I guess, and the config operate options for those. So let's say you are running a creative server, and you want every person to have a statue, but you don't want them spamming the command and destroying your server. You can change the cooldown in minutes to like 1,000 or something, and it'll only allow a person to create a statue, or something like that. And you would have like the price rate set to 0, for example, and then you would not charge them at all. It doesn't need to be exact. And they can just put the blocks in the inventory, it's no big deal. And you could have, for example, if you don't want them to have charged an extra item, if you're on a survival server, for example, you can put the rate to 0 and it won't charge them like any diamonds. Like the labor costs will be free, but you'll still require all the blocks if you set exact to true. So this is a common scenario for survival servers. You can change this to another value if you have an economy. So this is a common scenario for survival servers if you want, for example, to wait a while. Well, you don't need to wait as much in survival because you have to get the blocks anyway. So you would change the cooldown to be less in a survival server, charge to maybe 0 if you don't want to charge. You change the exact to true to make sure that nobody is gaming the system. And then you'd have price rate to some number, who knows. It can be whatever number is best suited for your economy. You can change it to whatever you like. So those are two common scenarios. Creative servers, you'd have a high cooldown. Survival servers, just make sure this, you can have rate, cooldown, charge, exact. So that's all I have for you guys today. The plugin is constantly updated, so there will often be new features popping up all the time. And just remember that it should always be backwards compatible. Statue and then your name will always work. And then you type in whatever tags you have here. Just separate the tags by space. So like tag 1 and then like tag 2. For example, you'd have slim and then like slim and then diamond armor or something like that. And it should always work. The link to the plugin is in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.